Hey everyone, it's Arlise and let's draw with colored pencils. So a number one essential to drawing is to jam out a bit first. So pick out some of your favorite music, fun playlist, and get searching for references. It will take a while if you don't know what you're looking for, but you'll eventually find it. And the hardest part to drawing is literally starting it. But don't worry because I will be going over exactly how I do this today. If you couldn't see the reference from my iPad, here is a closer up shot of it. It's lots of fun colors and different kinds of lighting, and it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but we'll get through it together. And personally, I like to start out every portrait by drawing the shape of the face or the shape of the head, typically a circle. And if there are shoulders, I'll typically draw kind of a stick figure body, and I will find all the shapes and edges later. When I'm following a reference, I like to keep looking back and forth at the photo that I'm drawing and make sure that I'm getting everything down right. Even if it's not exactly right, that's where your art style kind of comes into place. Now, this is the stage where I like to call the guidelines, where I have an arch for whatever angle the face is in, or just a straight line if it's a straight face portrait, and lines or dashes for the eyes, nose, and mouth. And I usually like to start with the nose because it is kind of like one of the first things you see on somebody's face, and then I try to get that shape right. If it's on an angle, I have a little bit of difficulty because I don't really practice that many angles, and then I work onto the eyes and the lips. If you're going to color over a drawing, you still want to see your sketch so you know what you're doing as you're coloring. So I like to use a kneaded eraser to lightly erase your original drawing, but still have the drawing there. Once my drawing was pretty much erased, I made sure to sharpen all of my colored pencils because they're a little dull, and I had a nice pretty little rainbow pile when I was done. Looking back at my reference, there are a lot of different colors, so I tried to figure out the perfect color to get all the highlights down. So I used this really light green to get some of the highlights down, and then I'm going to build up in a lot of layers, so this is a good green to build up with the other greens that I have. Then I grabbed this sky blue to again build in layers. So this is sort of a first layer. I'm working on some of the shadows that there are with the blue color. And once I'm done with that first layer of light blue, I go over it again, kind of adding a bit more pressure to darken it up. I basically do the same thing over and over again with all different kinds of colors. There's not really much to it. This was my first time doing this kind of fun lighting with all the different colored lighting, and especially this angle. I really don't draw angles that much, but let's chat for a little bit. If you saw my last video, I talked about how I might be getting into an art show, And a little update on that, I spoke to my art professor on Monday. He thanked me for submitting because he said that he actually didn't get that many submissions this year. He got a lot more last year. And he said that he thought my work looked good, so sounds like I have a good chance. But yeah, again, keep wishing me luck, and I will keep updating you guys on this. But let's get back to drawing. There were a lot of warm colors in this photo with all the red lighting, and there's a bit of like pink, and there's like a hint of yellow. So I really tried to blend, sort of, air quotes, blend these colors to make it look like the colors in the photo, because you can see I didn't have a lot of options here to work with, so I tried my best to either layer or kind of match the color. In the photo, you can see that it's mostly red, green, and blue lighting, but the red and blue kind of mixes and makes a bit of like a purple lighting in some spots, but it is really mostly green. So I covered up the areas that are green and then went around the light blue spots, or the shadow spots with some darker blues. Then I used black to darken some of the areas that were really dark and also to outline the eyes. I'm not sure why drawing the glasses was my favorite part. Probably because it was really easy. It's just like two big circles. But it just really, the whole time I was kind of struggling with making it look like the photo. And I know that shouldn't have been my goal, but I wanted to follow the reference as best as I could. But drawing the glasses just really did it for me, because it tied everything together, which is what I love about drawing. But besides the glasses, a lot of the color layering really actually was what's tying the drawing together. And you might not see it, but there are slight hints of orange in some of the red spots. I've been studying color in my design class lately, so I can kind of spot these things now. The hair was another thing that tied this drawing together. I know I said that like 2 or 3 times already, but once you start to see the finished product kind of build up, you start to get a little bit excited. Ow. But adding the hair just kind of made it look like a person, because it was just kind of like a floating body, like a bald head. So I needed to get the hair down. And I almost forgot that this person was wearing a shirt, so I just kind of quickly colored that part in and went over that just very roughly and quickly, just to get some of the wrinkles and ruffles. Fabric is not as hard as you think it might be. It's just lots of crinkles and ruffles and darkening the shadows from the wrinkles. Before I finished, I was just adding a few extra colors that kind of needed to be there to darken it up and making sure that it looked like the photo, and it's pretty close. What do you think? Before we wrap up, I almost forgot that there was a bit of a background to this. There was some purple and blue and obviously lots of green in this background, so I wanted to add that. This is one of the few full pages in my sketchbook so far. I've never really done that many full pages in my sketchbooks before, so I'm trying to do that in this new sketchbook, and it's going out pretty well. And you've probably seen me use these markers before. They're just paint markers that I like to use to add little white dots or little white lines to make the highlights pop more. And to finish off, I write my signature down as usual, and then we're done. So that was the kind of a tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I hoped I helped you out a bit with colored pencils, and make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.